Being a medium is ingrained in your soul. If you're meant to be a medium in this world, you will then see the spirit of other people's loved ones. We're all connected to our own loved ones in spirit. That's not special. That's actually a part of who we are energetically. We are tethered to each other by love, and that transcends dimensions, it transcends timelines, it transcends space. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast, where practical spirituality meets real life. Hi, I'm your host, Sheetal Story. I'm a psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, and a human design reader, and of course, a law of attraction master coach. With my unique blend of spiritual and practical tools, I am here to help you align with your soul-led purpose and ignite a life that sets your soul on fire. In this podcast, we are going to explore the principles of energy, astrology, spirituality, and psychology to help you heal your grief and create an aligned life and business from the inside out. Whether you are looking to deepen your intuition, understand your cosmic design, or transform your business, this podcast is for you. Join me each week for insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will guide you on your journey to living your very best life. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in and start this transformative journey together. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast. Well, today's episode is going to be one that is very candid and very honest about what I've been going through over the last year with regards to my gifts, specifically about mediumship. And it was interesting because I tried to record this episode literally 5 times, talking about other topics. It was not this topic. There was other topics that I thought I should be talking about, and it wasn't flowing. It wasn't working. It felt very scripted. It felt awful. And I deleted all of them. And I said, okay, Spirit, what would you have me talk about? And I heard mediumship. And I have a pile of topics that I want to talk about on here. Some of them spiritual, some of them business, some of them psychology, some of them grief. There's a whole bunch. I have a lot of tools in the toolkit. And this one really, I knew it as soon as I heard it. This was what I was supposed to talk about. So it's been interesting. Where do I start? The reason for this episode is that we have at the time that this is coming out, it would be after we did a spirit messages afternoon, myself and my trusted and beautiful friend, who's an amazing medium herself, Donna Becker, that we did a spirit messages. So I don't know how it's going to go at this moment in time. I have a good feeling. I have a really good feeling about it, but this is going to be airing in a week after that. And how it came about, it was kind of wild because what's happened with my mediumship over the years, when you come into your gifts as a medium, it comes in loud. Like Spirit really wants to get your attention to know that this is not fraudulent. This is not weird. You're not psychotic. This is actually a gift coming to the surface. And your gift can come to the surface at any time of your life. It's really at the time that your soul is ready to explore it, and it's time for you to step into that. So maybe it has merit around your life. Maybe it's just the time that your soul is ready to express it. And for me, if I go back in time about 16 years ago, I was on maternity leave. So about 15 years ago, I was on maternity leave and I was watching a Long Island medium show, and she was giving messages and just so much healing. And I remember watching this while I was eating breakfast, and I was like, oh gosh, wouldn't it be amazing to have this gift to help people heal from grief? This is God's work. And I remember turning off the TV. And it was weird. If I look back now, it's almost this ripple went through my body or the timeline. And I didn't realize it in the moment, right? So I hopped in my car with my baby, went to pick up my aunt from the bus stop with my mom, and she was coming in from Texas, and she came to my house and we were talking about some things, and I saw my uncle appear behind her. And I know my uncle passed away. I went to his funeral. I know he's passed. And she was using an iPad. And I was like, wow, my mom had no idea how to use such things, but she was very adept at it. And she had, after my uncle passed away, she had moved down to the US to be with her sons. They have children, but it was very important to her to have her own life. So she got a work visa. She was working in daycares. She's so good with children. As far as I ever knew her when she came to Canada, she worked in daycares, went for her early childhood certifications, and worked in daycares. And so she got a job down there working in daycare. She had her own apartment. She'd go see her sons and their children, so her grandchildren, and she'd come back up here to see family. And she's like distantly related through my dad's side. So as she was using the iPad, my uncle appears behind her and says, she's smart too, and she's beautiful, or she's beautiful and she's smart too. And she's East Indian, so there's the accent. And I was like, huh. And so was my uncle. He had a very thick accent. And I was like, that's wild. I think I'm hallucinating. I think I'm seeing something. I'm imagining this can't be real. And I just kind of like could see what was happening. And then he went away. He disappeared. And I was like, okay. So after she left, I called my mom and I said, this kind of crazy thing happened. And she said, you should tell auntie. You should tell auntie. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to tell her that I saw her husband and he said that she's smart and beautiful. Okay, like whatever. So I went over the next day for tea and we were talking and my mom said, you should tell auntie. Tell auntie what happened. Tell auntie. And I was like, I don't want to tell her. But I was like, if you don't tell, I tell. I'm like, fine, okay. So welcome to ethnic families. So I said, yeah, I saw uncle appear behind you and he said she's beautiful and she's smart too. And I was like, that's weird, right? And she started to cry and she said he told me I was beautiful every day that we were married, which is not typical of East Indian families. Like it's just not, it's very mushy, it's very sweet, but also very emotional. And we don't tend to be that emotional, especially when we first marry in Indian culture. So I thought that's interesting. I didn't know that at all. And then the second part, I said, well, what about the smart too? And my mom said, you know what auntie did before she came here? And I went, daycares? I don't know. And she said she was in the space program in India. She was like an astrophysicist. And I was like, what? An astrophysicist? Like there's no, I mean, she's a smart woman, but I mean, I've only ever known her to be with children. She's never ever talked space jargon, nor would there be an opportunity to do that. So I was blown away by that. So spirit showed me that there was things that I told me things I didn't know about a person. There's no way I could possibly have known that. And I'd never heard them talk about, no one ever talked that auntie was this like scientist before she came to Canada. What? So I was like, all right, that's wild. And then I had more and more and more experiences that I just could not look away from it, right? It was just wild. I was getting names, I was getting very specific information, and it was just flowing into my mind, into my awareness. And I was like, what is this? And I need to figure this out. And I'm very structured in the way that I learn. So I was looking for a teacher. I approached many, many, many people. I sent about 100 emails and letters out to people, mediums and psychics that I Googled and could find. And only one person responded. And I went to see her every week for probably about 3 or 4 months, where she taught me about what she knew about the spiritual world, about ascendant masters and angels and all the things, sacred geometry and light language and all these things that I was like, what is this world? I don't live in this world. I live in the corporate, business, have my babies, retire at 65. That's the world I live in. I don't know what's what. Energy? Are you kidding me? And I'm very spiritual. I've always I'm Hindu by religion. My parents have always been very spiritual. It's not about the dogma, more so about being a good human and reincarnation and energy and your spirit. And spirit influences nature. And there's signs and synchronicities that come through your life and you got to trust those. So I grew up in a very spiritual way. So none of this stuff was truly foreign, but all the jargon was very foreign to me. All the the concepts and stuff, I was like, I don't know what any of this is. So it was fascinating for me. And then I was like, okay, I need a more organized teaching system. I really want to organize my mediumship and understand how to grow this, because I felt very out of control with it. It was just approaching me everywhere I was. A spirit was coming in, and we were trying to enforce boundaries. And I found this place that trained mediums, and I started to work with them. And that became, I think, the first part of my journey where it became about the rules, what you can and cannot do, right? This is what we can do. This is what we can't do. And I do believe we should have standards in mediumship, that absolutely we need to elevate the standard of mediumship, what is allowed, what is not allowed, what is fraudulent, understanding that when you're in that world, there's a lot of gray areas. And, let's be honest, there's no standard association, making sure that mediums are above board and they're not taking advantage of people. There's no association that exists about that, and there's no laws even about that too. So it's really a buyer beware kind of industry. And for me, I really wanted to show that this was real. I really wanted to prove that I could do this, and I wanted to take these tests. I wanted to see if I could, if this was true. I was almost like, spirit, show me that this is not true. I can just go back to my mundane corporate life. And that door never opened again for me. All the doors that opened for me in my forward momentum were in my spiritual, in my psychic development, my mediumship development, my tarot, my astrology, human design, coaching, grief counseling. Like, all of these doors just started to open as I walked this path. And the pathway back to corporate never opened a door again. I tried really hard to open that door, but it was not meant for me. My path is meant to go in this direction. So I realized as I was, now come 14 years this last summer, 15 years now, that that was when it started, that I started to put these rules and regulations. And bless my soul sisters, my very first person that told me, Sheetal, you need to drop these silos about what you can and can't do and just be all of you, no matter where you are. It makes me want to cry, because when someone sees you, sees your soul, that there's no words, right? It moves me to tears, because it's love, the deepest form of love to be seen. And my beautiful soul sister, Elise, I remember coming up to me in 2019. We were at a conference together, and she's like, Sheetal, you got to drop these silos. You've got to just, if mediumship comes in, you got to use mediumship. If tarot comes in, you got to use tarot. You can't be like, you didn't hire me and we're not in a private setting. If someone's coming up to you and talking to you, and their loved one is coming in and they give you all the signs, you have to then honor that. That is part of your gifts. And the more you don't honor it, the more you'll close that down. And I was like, but that's not the way I was taught. And she's like, screw what you were taught. That's when you're friends with an Aquarius. That's that's what you're gonna get. I channel my beautiful friend a lot, because I'm like, okay, Aquarius, we're gonna break these rules. We're gonna do something different. As a Virgo, I can follow rules to a T. I'm such a good girl, y'all. And it's interesting, because that was around the time when the universe started to show me that being a good girl didn't pay off at all. Being a good girl did not pay off for me anymore. And as I started to listen to my gifts and become the expert, my mentor actually said a few years ago as well, my mediumship mentor, he said, Sheetal, you are the expert. Why are you allowing people to book a tarot session or a mediumship session or astrology session? You're the expert. When they come to you with a soul need, who better to tell them and use the things that is necessary, the tools that is necessary, than you? They don't know. They can't. It's like you going to see the doctor and saying, okay, I need you to use this tool on me when you're doing this surgery, and then in this order, right? It's like, it's ridiculous, right? You're not here to tell the expert what to do. You're here to listen to the expert. And that's why the expert. And he said, you need to just be you in every session. And that's when I did away with my mediumship and tarot sessions, and astrology sessions are still there, and human design sessions are still there. But I had combinations of those things too. Like, I had so many offerings. People were like, I don't know what I want. And I'm like, I get it. So I went down to just one session, and it's called a Sheetal's Choice session. It's 1 hour. We address all the things. If it's coaching, if it's grief counseling, if it's mediumship, if it's tarot, if it's psychic, whatever, it will come in and I will meet the need of your soul. And I've never not met the need of a soul. I become aware. It's one of my gifts of, I become aware of the need of your soul right away. So I'm able to address it. And if it's, whatever the tool is, I get to use that tool. And it's wild. Spirit's always blowing my mind. If you're just paying attention, it will blow your mind too. Every session where I've heard you need to look up their astrology chart or you need to look up their human design chart, I'll ask them if they know their exact birth time. And 100% of the sessions that I've gotten the nudge to look up a chart that needs an exact birth time, y'all, they have known their exact birth time to a T. They knew it. They memorized it. They were like, oh, yeah, 12:35. I was like, oh my God, who knows their exact birth time? I didn't until I started learning astrology, right? Not everybody walks around, number one, has access to their exact birth time. I've had a number of inquiries recently, born in hospitals that had no records, or the records are all destroyed, or the hospital's gone now. A foreign country, birth in a bathtub. There's no records of that. So everyone here, and then to remember it in a session, wild. Like spirits always got me. That makes me emotional too, because I forgot about that. I forgot about it because I made it about me. I have to get it right. I have to do right by spirit. I have to be the overachiever, even in my mediumship. And that led nowhere. It actually led to me losing my ability. I was really convinced that spirit had me become a medium at that time in my life to send me on this journey to understand mediumship, which led to tarot, which led to astrology, which led to all these things, and then to lose the mediumship because that's not what I'm supposed to be doing. And I kept saying to spirit, show me, show me. If this is for me, then show me. And I kept seeing nothing. And to be honest, it felt like abandonment. It felt like abandonment. I didn't anticipate getting this this emotional. So interesting how this all works. I didn't feel I felt like spirit wasn't there, and I was trying my best. And I remember getting mad in a class last year, and I was like, I'm doing everything. Spirit's not here. And my mentor's like, Sheetal, how can you say that? That's not true. You're getting all the right things, but you're blocking yourself. And I'm like, yeah, blocking myself yet again. I was so frustrated because I was holding on so tight. And so I let go. I let go of everything. I let go of my mentorship with my dear friend and mentor. I let go of mediumship readings. I let go of even the term medium, and I leaned into more coach. I leaned more into grief, and the universe supported me. My schedule was full of grief support clients, all feeling lost. My tarot teacher had said that you will attract people who are going through the exact thing that you are. So you can see what needs to be healed and listen to your own advice. She was so right. So right. When you think about it, as within, so without, everything that you are doing or going through in your life will attract in others who are going through that too. So if you're not of integrity, you're going to attract people who are not of integrity. And it'll be up to you whether you see it or whether you project it. Because if you project it, you're just going to create more of the same, right? Same thing with relationships. And I was willing to see it. I was willing to sit in it. In my hermit year, a lot came up. It's a year of transformation. The 12th house is no joke. It is a spiritual, transformative time. And so, with mediumship, it is a symbiotic relationship, right? Being a medium is ingrained in your soul. If you're meant to be a medium in this world, you will then see the spirit of other people's loved ones. We're all connected to our own loved ones in spirit. That's not special. That's actually a part of who we are energetically. We are tethered to each other by love, and it transcends dimensions, it transcends timelines, it transcends space. Love is a very strong bond because inherently our souls are made of love, the highest vibration. right? Recently, someone sent me this thing about authenticity being 40 times higher vibration than love. And I was having a debate behind the scenes with some of my mediumship friends, and we came to the consensus that authenticity cannot be had in the absence of love. Authenticity has to be in love, with safety, with connection. It's one thing to be authentic in the forest, but to be authentic in front of a group of people, you have to trust yourself. You have to feel safe in the room. You have to feel love for yourself and from spirit. And when you're in your authentic self, your spirit shining through, that is the 40 times energy that they were observing in research. They didn't know. The hypothesis was authenticity. And I'm going to say that love in a connected form, when you're loved in yourself and you're loving others and you're showing up in your truest self, which you can say is authenticity, that's the highest vibration. And my friends, I was far from that at the beginning of last year. So this is a bit of a cathartic look back over my year as a hermit. And mediumship, when your gift becomes latent and it comes to the surface, you then will start feeling these experiences of other people's loved ones. And what it is actually a blending of energies. You don't step out of your body and somebody steps in. You are tethered into your body by breath from the day that you took your first breath, and that tether will be cut on the day you take your last breath. In between that is life. And when we are mediums, what we do is the consciousness of the other person comes close, and then we can feel that energy, and there's a blending that happens of the energies. So there's no possession. That's such a Hollywood, like, you cannot give up your vessel without permission, right? So that's not going to happen. Don't give permission. That's it. I'm in this body. I love this body. That's it. Lumps, bumps, and all. And when you're blending as a medium with spirit, you start to become aware of their entire life in a moment, because energy to energy is instantaneous, but the mind cannot comprehend all of that. So it starts to blend, and we start to become aware of their aspects of their soul need. It's the same as if I was blending with your soul and your soul's need, but now it's an discarnate energy. Your incarnate energy in a body, and spirit is just energy without a body, right? Used to have a body, no longer has a body. So we're blending with that spirit, and that spirit person, as they come closer into your auric field, you can feel their need. And that need becomes the story, the image, the things that you start to become aware of that then you tell in a reading. That's how it works for mediumship. The influence of that energy comes in through the subconscious. So it triggers you to say words, you get images, you get phrases, you might get a feeling, a knowing, a thing in your body that you just get an ache or something. That is how spirit energy works, right? It's triggered through the subconscious, and it's energy to energy. So we don't know. If you don't know that you're a medium, you could think that you're going bonkers, right? Why am I getting all this imagery? Why do I keep hearing these words or keep hearing these songs? It's like there could be a mediumship connection there, right? So as a medium, as I became aware of that, I stopped having panic attacks. Never had a panic attack in my life. My best friend growing up, lots of panic attacks, lots of anxiety. So I knew what it looked like, but I've never had that experience. And when I started to my mediumship abilities started to become latent, I started to get a ton of panic attacks, racing heart, anxiety. And it was because I'm feeling the presence of somebody else, but there's nobody here. There's nobody here. So I had to become aware of that and understand, oh, this is spirit. Okay, as I blend and lift my energy and open my awareness, then spirit starts to trigger my subconscious to then say things, know things, feel things, see things that is actually part of their life. So you learn how to put structure around that. You have to really learn how to put words around emotions. As a woman that came from corporate, my friends, that was a huge hurdle. And I notice it in all my high achieving business clients and mediumship participants in my development group, that we are not taught how to put words around our emotions. We're taught to just push them down and trudge on. And I mean, that's where grief comes from. We're not in depression. We're depressing our emotions. And when we let them out, we feel like they're going to overtake. I've heard that so many times in my grief sessions is I feel like I'm scared to open this because I don't know what's going to come out. And I can say, I promise you, I can hold grief with you. Together, we can hold it. It's okay. You don't have to do this by yourself. You've been taught that you have to, but you don't have to with this. And so, mediumship is really healing for both sides because the need of the spirit person is being met through the conversation you're having with their loved one that's sitting in front of you. It is such a beautiful expression of love, right? It blows my mind when people are like, "Yeah, mediumship doesn't exist." Right, but you believe in a God, right? A Jesus that has form and rose from the dead, and then he came back to talk to people. So you don't think that's mediumship? You don't think him coming back and being seen by a bunch of people, that's not mediumship? But that's okay. But a medium speaking to other people's loved ones to help healing on both sides, that's bonkers. That's evil. It blows my mind how people can make certain things okay, but other things no, even though it's in the same genre, right? So I love speaking to skeptics. I love it because I will always find a hole in the story that I can put my finger in and pull it a little bit and a little bit and a little bit until you start to think a little bit differently. Because I can plant enough seeds in there to germinate over time. And it's not for me to change anybody's perspective. I'm not here to convince you that spirit exists, but I'm here to ask you the things that you believe. Why do you believe them? Because somebody told you that? Because you went to Catholic school? I went to Catholic school too. And I tell you, the things that they were saying, I was just like, that doesn't make sense. What? I don't, why do we do that? They didn't like my questions at all, y'all. But that's, such is life, right? I never took it personally. I actually realized that they couldn't answer my questions because they believed in a lie. Eventually you start to fall into things that you can't answer because it doesn't make sense, right? There's just too many holes in the story. So I'm not anti-religion. Well, a little bit I am, but I have to say that there's really beautiful things in religions around the world. There's really beautiful teachings of love and inclusivity. And what's happened is man has come along and corrupted those in every single culture around the world, every single religion around the world. It's corrupted because the divine feminine is missing from every single culture, or it is there. Like I know in Hinduism, there is the divine feminine and divine masculine, but the masculine can marry many women, the women cannot marry many men. What is that? Right? So, very interesting. Anyways, I digress. So, when we think about mediumship, it's really, really important to have boundaries, right? I can't be out and about at a restaurant having wine with my girlfriend, and all of a sudden the spirit of the person beside me is talking to me, and I'm going to go over and speak to them. That's not okay. Number one, I'm not in the frame of mind that I should be giving any readings during that time. Number two, the person has not given me permission to read for them, right? And number three, I'm invading their privacy. I don't know if she's got a ride home, how she's going to be if I start talking about her grandfather. Like nobody has actually invited me in. So I've set a thing with spirit. My invitation with spirit is that they have to bring their loved one to me. They have to get them to talk about them with me, and they have to ask me if I'm a medium. So I know as this gets bigger, the podcast, I'm gonna have people going, "Hey, do you see any dead people around me?" And I will always say, probably. But in this moment in time, number one, you haven't booked time with me in my sessions. This is, you're initiating it, not me. Like, so there's boundaries there too, right? There's boundaries there too. And it's really important to understand that this healing that comes through mediumship is so profound. It is years of therapy. I've heard that from so many clients. Years of therapy couldn't do what you just did here today. And I always say, it was your loved one that did it. I'm just the telephone. Your loved one had to help me say these things and get these things right, right? It is a symbiotic relationship. And over the years, I think as I tried to put more structure and become the master of my craft, if you will, I choked it to the point where it was just barely a trickle. And I thought it had left me, and it didn't. It didn't. It was always there. And the less I cared about it, the less that I put structure around it, the more that I just have fun and be creative and just allow these amazing things to fall out of my mouth, that I get to be a conduit for spirit, an ambassador for the spirit world, and to be an activator of healing in this planet, on this planet. It's 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 blown my mind. Like, it's been one of the biggest gifts that I have got over this last year of hermiting, because I just let go of everything, of the labels, of the shoulds, of the structure. And through it all, my soul sisters have stayed close. Mentors have gone. People didn't check back in with me. Nobody knew, to be fair, but my soul sisters did. And they were constantly, the word is encouraging me to just be myself, to allow whatever needed to flow, and allow spirit's love to come through me, because that is literally my job in this lifetime. That was an episode that I didn't realize needed to come out of me, but I did. Everything else didn't work. This was what was supposed to flow out of me. So thank you for holding space with me over this last year. Thank you for listening. And what you think about mediumship, how you stand on the topic of it, I love you. I see you. It's all going to come around. Whether you don't know it now, you will know it later. And you just come see me after that point, which is when you take your last breath. We're all going to find out, right, my friends? And if you're going through a season of grief or you're mourning the loss of someone who has stepped into spirit, know that they are still here. They're still tethered to you by love. They send you signs and symbols all the time. It's about whether you're open to receiving and you're allowing good things to flow into your life. I feel so different. I'm so excited for Sunday's spirit messages. We sold out at 50 seats so fast, within 2 weeks. And the next one is October 19th, and that one is almost half sold already. So I'm excited to see what comes through. I've already had the nudge to bring some things to the event so that I can gift them to someone. I don't know who. I don't know what it's supposed to be about, but I'm supposed to do 2 things for the event. I just heard very loudly from Spirit to do it. And I get to just be in awe of Spirit's power. The power of the spirit world is so loving and caring and inclusive and supportive and guiding. There's just so much love around us that I refuse to be divided. I refuse. So thank you for being here and all your support. And I'm wishing you the most connected week ahead to yourself and the universe, knowing how supported and loved you are and how powerful you are in your soul. I love you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Story of Spirit podcast. I hope you have found inspiration, support, and practical insights to help you align with your soul-led purpose and live a life that sets your soul on fire. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continues to provide valuable content. I sincerely appreciate every share, and I know it is how most people find me. It is because caring people like you have shared me with them at the right and perfect time. For more resources, insights, and to connect with our community, please visit us at www.sheetalstory.com and follow us on Instagram at sheetalstory. Remember, your journey to a more aligned and vibrant life is just the beginning, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep shining your beautiful light. This is Sheetal Story, signing off from the Story of Spirit podcast. Here's the legalese that's required by our lawyers. This podcast and the YouTube channel represents the opinions of Sheetal's story and her guests to the show. The content should not be taken as medical, psychological, or financial advice. This series is informational and entertainment purposes only. Because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional, your mental health dream team, your financial advisor, or anyone else that's an expert in the field in where you are thinking of making big choices in your life.